Let's do this.
So you're looking forward to actually finally talking about this, Chris?
Yeah, I've avoided doing the whole coming out story video for a while. I've talked about it in bits and pieces, but not actually went into the full story, which a lot of people have asked for a long time. I've avoided doing it for a while because, like, after I filmed Bear Strong, like, it was good to film and all the rest of it. I wouldn't say that your mood was overly high on it. You know, it was quite a hard thing to film, and there's parts of it was hard to talk about. It was just very, you know, I wanted to do videos for a while that would lift the mood and be fun and we could have a laugh, you know, and that's what you've seen in the last couple of videos. But, you know, this is a channel to help mental health, and it is a channel to help LGBT mental health too. So, you know, it's important that this story gets told, because, you know, everybody who's LGBT has a coming out story, and everybody's story is different. There's stories out there 10 times worse than what mine is, and there's stories out there that were just easier than what mine is, but, like, you know, everybody has their story. Sharing my story helps you guys who follow me. Well, then that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Right, first question, Chris.
Do you want to do this in your underwear? That'll make it easier for me. I'll look at the camera, yeah, for like 90% of the time.
That actually is good. That thought leads us into our first question. When did you first know you were attracted to guys?
Right. For me, I first knew I was in the guys when I was about 9, 10 years old. Maybe, what age are you in P7? You're like 10 or 11, aren't you?
Right.
P5, P6, so like 9 or 10 years old. I first knew. Didn't know as in know exactly what you are, but like I remember having thoughts, remember looking at guys differently, I suppose, than what other people would look at, or other guys would have looked at guys, and I just knew that something was very different there. But it was total confusion, because it was primary school and I couldn't understand, you know, the hearsay was all about, you know, fancying girls, and, like, you know, everybody always used to joke around, any girlfriends? That's what I thought you had to do, and that's what I thought you had to focus on, and that's what I kept focusing on, obviously, for a lot of years, and sort of put the other thing in the back of my mind. But yeah, I definitely noticed, like, in primary school when I was about 9, 10 years old, you got more confirmation in that there as you got older. Going into secondary school, you sort of definitely knew what was going on, because people, I suppose, the chat and going into secondary school, people talked about, not in a positive way, you know, but talked about gays and you know, stuff going on between men and all. You started to actually learn more about what being gay is, even though it came across in a very negative way. But yeah, it got a lot more realistic going into secondary school, and I guess whenever moving into secondary school at that stage, I was like, right, you know, you're bisexual, and you know, you just need to move forward now knowing that. Obviously I never acted on it for a long time, and I kept it secret for a long time to come, but I knew then, from secondary school onwards, I knew I was bisexual, and I knew that's what it was.
What was it like being gay as a teenager and not like being open about it?
Well, if I look back at the way the schools are now, my old school, you know, I went back to my old school and done talks. My old school now has a lot of people who are LGBTQ in it. But when I was at school, there was people, I suppose some people assumed that they were gay or lesbian or whatever, but they just didn't talk about it. You know, they weren't open about it. They weren't confirmed it to anybody or anything like that. It was kept a secret by a lot of people. You know, and I started chasing girls and pursuing girls because I was genuinely, you know, at that stage and for a long stage to come, I was bisexual. I was lucky where I could go with girls and I could go with guys, and I found both attractive. And but it was just all, anything to do with being gay was negative. Anything to do with a gay person or gay people on TV, or it was just always used in a negative way, you know, homophobic abuse given to people who weren't even gay, you know, like it was, you know, words like, I don't really want to say the word, I don't like this is saying, you know, homophobic words, but like everybody knows what they are, and they were always given in a negative way to people who weren't even gay, but that was a form of abuse, a form of bullying, was to call people homophobic words. Like, it's the same for everyone, like, you know, it wasn't just at my school, like that's just in general, it probably still goes on a lot today. But the main thing I remember about it is how fucking scary it was, you know, fear of ever being found out or anybody ever knowing, and how much you had to like hide everything, you know, and keep everything a secret, you know. You're always so worried about, like I remember going on the computer and like, for anybody who's young watching this, bear in mind, like whenever I'm talking back 15 years say, and there wasn't like iPhones and stuff like that there, so it's hard to sort of search stuff on the internet and stuff, but I remember searching stuff on the internet and being like shit scared in case it was ever found by anybody, because that would have just totally outed you. But you always had that curiosity, so your ears would always pick up if there was stuff talked about people being gay and that there. But it was like heartfelt fear of anybody ever finding out, and you know, it was a constant. I remember whenever I was a young kid, like I assumed that I would have been in primary school at the time, maybe first year, and I was trying to figure out what was going on, and I remember going to bed at night like bawling my eyes out crying because I was convinced that I was going to get arrested and I was going to go to hell. Proper bawling my eyes out crying, and like my parents tried to settle me down, but for me, I felt at that age and for a long time to come, because of the community that you were in and the environment that you were in, not so much family but just like school and sports and Northern Ireland as a whole, I felt I was doing something really wrong, that something that was not allowed, and it felt illegal, and it was just wrong to be who I was, and it scared the life out of me. I remember going to bed like bawling my eyes out night after night, and my parents tried to settle me down, but any kid who has done something wrong, the last people you're going to tell is your parents. You know, if you do something wrong as a wee and you don't want your mum and dad to know about it, and I felt I had done something really wrong, or I was something really wrong, and I just couldn't talk to them and tell them anything about it, you know, and they couldn't understand why I was in the state I was in, and they didn't know if there was stuff going on at school, and you know, if I was being bullied or what was happening, or why, you know, I wouldn't get to sleep at night. But the main thing I remember about it is just the fear of it all, constantly hiding this big secret and not wanting people to find out. And it's an easy bloody thing to find out too, like, you know, you catch yourself daydreaming or something, maybe looking at somebody for too long, or even if people turn around to you in a jokey or a bullying way and call you gay, you automatically go, fuck, do they know that? You worry about it 10 times more than what you actually should. But it's sort of the main thing I remember about it is just how scary it was, you know, the fear of the whole thing, the fear of getting found out, and, you know, people sussing out that you were gay.
When was it you actually decided to come out?
I came out when I was 28, so it's nearly, it is 3 years ago now. Basically, I had gone with girls like all my life up to that stage. I've been in sort of serious relationships with girls and stuff, and after my last relationship with a girl, I met a guy, and it was the first ever guy I went into a relationship with, because anything before that was just meeting guys and casual stuff, like, you know, it was never, I never ever thought along them lines that I could go into a relationship with a guy. And then I met this guy, we got on really, really well. I'm not going to mention him because obviously he'll not want to be mentioned on my YouTube, but we had a relationship for about a year, and anybody who knew seen us as being best friends. I told two really, really close friends that we were more than that. He done the same. He would have told a couple of close friends, and his family knew, so he would have told his family. But everybody assumed that we were just really close friends, and we had a great relationship, and was a lovely guy, but I still hadn't came out yet. You know, it puts a massive strain on any relationship, and there was this whole world that I was learning more about but still hadn't got a clue about, and the relationship ended because of the strain I put on that relationship. Say he was such a dead on guy, such a nice guy, and did absolutely nothing wrong in that relationship, but I look back at it now and see that I caused a lot of, me not being out and being who I was, is what caused a lot of the problems that what went on there. So that relationship ended, and whenever it ended afterwards, it was the first time in my life that I have actually turned around and been, I don't want to go into another relationship with a girl. I only want to go into a relationship with guys going forward, and I knew that heart and heart, and I knew that my attraction and all the rest of it to girls was starting to really die away. And I really enjoyed that relationship. I had maybe 6 serious relationships with girls in the past. I was engaged to girls and all the rest of it, and that relationship was, for me, 10 times better than any of the past relationships. It meant a hellish more. First time in my life I felt that I was in a proper relationship, and I decided that was me then. I didn't want to go into a relationship with a girl again. I knew that I was happier going into relationships with guys. So the big step was that I had to then tell the family, which I got to the stage where I have a business in my local town. I'm a sporting profile, and there was a lot of questions as what's going to go down well, what's going to go down bad. Is it going to work for me, or is it going to really hurt me? It could have went one way or the other, and but I had to say to myself, the most important thing I said to myself was, all that matters is what your family and your friends think. And one of the biggest things that really helped me there was, I went to London by myself, and I seen around London. I seen the massive world that's available to people in London, and especially LGBTQ people. And I sort of said to myself, right, if it doesn't work out here, if it affected the business, if things went bad, there's a fucking massive world out there to go and live your life and be who you are and be happy. It doesn't need to be where you're born and bred, and this is what so many people from Northern Ireland are struggling with, because Northern Ireland is not a great place to be gay in. Northern Ireland has some amazing people within the LGBT community. It's a fantastic community in Northern Ireland, but Northern Ireland as a whole is not a great place to be gay in or to be LGBT in. But it is a very, 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 very small part of the world, and there's a massive world out there that's open to people to be gay in. And that's the way I looked at it. I was like, what matters here to me, and what matters most to me is that my family and my friends accept it, and that if business failed, if things went bad on me, that I would just pack up shop and I will move to somewhere that's more accepting of me and who I am. But luckily for me, that never happened. My business carried on to do fine. My sexuality never affected it. There was some changes that happened. Some companies and festivals decided to stop working with me, but I was able to adapt to stuff like that there, and adapt I did, and Inspire has continued to do so well, and it always will continue to do so well. At the end of the day, I'm just a guy who owns the gym. The gym itself, it's not a gay gym, do you know what I mean? It's just the guy who owns it's gay. So it's continued to do well. Obviously, Bear Strong has got quite a big boost since coming out. My public profile has got a major boost since coming out. You look at all them things that has happened since coming out, and how weird it is, and how out of the box it is that a guy from Northern Ireland, is a openly gay strongman who went on to an MTV reality TV show as Black Boyfriend. That is definitely the furthest thing from the norm that you're ever going to get coming out of Larne, never mind coming out of Northern Ireland. And I like that. I've always liked being outside the box, and me living my life as to who I am is not the norm in this country, and it's not what's expected of most people, but it's definitely what I'm going to continue to do moving forward.
What was it like becoming a part of the LGBT community?
It's definitely been the most rewarding part of all. Like I know there's a lot of people out there who like to be non-seen and don't like to be part of the community and just like to live their own lives, and you know, it's each to their own. Me personally, I think it is an amazing, vibrant, happy place to be, and it's just, see, going country to country and going to new cities and seeing their, you know, gay district or whatever, if you like, you know, in their communities. I think it's absolutely amazing. Like, you know, I'm so lucky now that I'm getting to travel, you know, to city and get to see these different communities. But even my own community here in Northern Ireland, like, I just love it, you know, and that's why, you know, me bringing Pride to Larne and stuff, I've brought some of that community to Larne, and I've shown people like how amazing it is and how much fun it is and how much you can enjoy it. I like to think that, you know, over the last couple of years I've brought a lot of people who are non-LGBT to the community and let them see it the way I now see it, because I think as a non-LGBT person it could be quite confusing when you don't understand it, and the minute you get involved with it, it's an amazing place to be.
Sorry.
Dirt.
Happiest moment since coming out?
There's been loads of happy moments, like, I mean loads. Like, you know, the past 3 years for me, or 2.5 years, whatever it is, has just been like filled with things you just never have thought was going to happen, and like the most amazing nights out, the most amazing weeks away, the most amazing TV opportunities, festivals, meeting and greeting, the success of Bear Strong. There's just been so much, and just general life too, like, you know. But I think for me the happiest moment was me and John went into a relationship, you know. Obviously the relationship's over now, but it doesn't take away from how amazing the time it was and the things we shared together. It's something I never ever would have thought would ever happen in my life. You know, it was just like something you always dreamed about from when I was a kid, and you know, reality of it never really sunk in until the relationship was actually up and going. It was just always seemed to be like a dream, and then the next thing it happened, and you know, we had a great time together, and we obviously done the MTV show, and we went on holidays. We just had an amazing relationship, which sadly it had to come to an end. But you know, I'm not one of these people who turn around when a relationship ends and, you know, pretend it never happened. It did happen. It was an amazing time. It was filled with so much happiness, and you know, for me that has just been the happiest moment I got to experience that for the 1.5 years that we did. And I know that moving forward, you know, that happiness will come back again with somebody else. Of course it will. Like, that's the way the world works, you know. And I look forward to when it does, and I just don't think it's right to like, because a relationship ends, you see so many people doing it, you hate somebody, you know, who was a huge part of your life and somebody you love for so long. You can't just go from loving that person to hating that person overnight, and it's definitely neither the two of us have any ill feelings towards each other. You know, we wish each other all the best, but for me it's just a part of my life that I'll always try to cherish forever.
Some of the struggles that you didn't expect?
Well, obviously whenever I first came out, and I still to this day, you know, I'm a newbie in the gay world, and there's still a lot of things I don't understand. There's a lot of things that I've learned over the past few years. One of the things I didn't expect was I assumed that whenever I came out and I was openly gay, that I would go from going out with girls and being in a relationship with girls to going out with guys and being in relationships with guys, and that would be, you know, just the way it changes. But for me, you know, I realised that obviously there's a lot of people out there who aren't interested in relationships, and I would be I would be more the relationship type. You know, I've had my fun and all the rest of it in the past, but I would be the type of guy who'd rather go into a relationship. I find that quite hard. You know, I like to date, I like to go out, I like to get to know somebody, you know, and build on it and move into a relationship. That's just me, and it's just the way, you know, I like to do things. But I found that it can be quite difficult. You know, obviously, like, you know, people who are interested in me, there's plenty of interest, and you know, it's been amazing because it's helped to boost my confidence so much. But when it actually comes to like wanting to go into a relationship and stuff like that, or you know, when you ask people what their interest is, the interests are very different. I found that a bit of a struggle because, you know, I'm the type of person I would like go for coffee. If there's somebody I like, you know, go for coffee, go for dinner, see how we get on. But in a lot of cases, you know, it's some people can come across and seem very interested, and then you later sort of twig on to they're just guys who are really into big guys, and they just want to fulfill a fantasy type of thing, and a relationship is never going to be on the cards. It's just they literally have a fantasy about a big guy and they want to fulfill that, or they're into big guys and they want to fulfill fantasies. So I find that a bit of a struggle. I think that's really it.
Do you hold any regrets, and what advice would you give the others?
I wouldn't say I hold regrets. You know, I spent a lot of my life not being open about my sexuality, and I do think back as to what if quite a bit. But I don't regret living my life the way I lived it, because, you know, I learnt so much in past relationships. I learnt so much in the life that I was in. If I would have came out as a teenager, my life would have been a lot different. And I like my life the way it is now, you know, and I like how exciting it's getting, and I like where it's going to. You know, I wouldn't want that taken away. And if I was to have came out as a teenager or in my early 20s, I have no doubt it would be a lot different. Maybe for the better, but it could have been for the worst. And like, if I came out earlier, would I struggle so much with depression? Maybe not. You know, would I live a happier life? Maybe. Might have been worse, I don't know. But like, you know, me going through that rough period in my life is what grew me into who I am now, and everything that I've been through has grew me into who I am now, and I would never want to take that there away. You know, everybody has their time to come out. Everybody has when's right for them. And when I was 28, that's when it was right for me. That's when I felt I had to come out, that I wouldn't be happy unless I did, and I came out. And you know, there's a lot of pressure on people to come out, and there's a lot of, you know, I get sometimes asked by organisations and charities and stuff like that, we want to help people come out, and you know, help's always there. Everybody knows that there's help there. You know, if you're struggling to come out, there's plenty of LGBT charities out there that will help you. I never believe that you should force people to come out before they're ready. You know, come out when you're ready. Talk to somebody around you who you can trust with that secret, so that you're not burdening it all alone. And you'll know when you're ready. You'll know when it's right. And you can live a happy life without coming out. But if you can't live a happy life without coming out, then that's a big sign that you have to come out. You know, I was okay. You know, it wasn't a thing that was destroying me inside. It was hard, yeah, but it wasn't destroying me. But everybody has a time that's right for them, and you wait until your time's right for you, and then come out and be proud and be who you are.